I believe that everything that happens to me is good. Does not matter what it is. Whenever I say that, people always point to some super extreme examples as though that will get me to change my stance and or make an exception, but it does not. It applies to everything. Someone that I love could pass away, I could get diagnosed with cancer, I could crash my car, I can get arrested, I can lose all of my money. Hell, I can walk outside tomorrow and get shot, and I will smile and I will say good. Because I know that regardless of how I feel about something that has taken place, there is nothing in this world that I can do to make it not have taken place. There is a saying, there is no use crying over spilt milk, and that is because shedding those tears will neither clean up the milk nor will it put it back in the carton. What's done is done. You bumped the table, the counter, wherever the fuck it was your milk was. Maybe you're especially clumsy and you dropped it pulling it out of the fridge. Who the fuck knows? However, that milk wound up on the floor, it's on the floor. And no matter how mad that you get, it will not be on the floor until you clean it up. It will not have been spilled. So bitching about it, crying about it, complaining about it will serve you none. All that you have in any situation is your perspective. You can't control what happens. You can't control what takes place. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control what happens to people that you care about. But what you can control is how you choose to view it and what you choose to do with it. And deciding that something is bad, deciding something is negative, something unpleasant taking place, and you sitting there saying woe is me and bemoaning the fact that it happened will not do you any good at all under any circumstances. If anything, it's going to make what just took place that much worse, because now someone you care about died, or your car broke down, or you lost your job, or I don't know, you fucking got kicked out of your place, your electricity got cut off, and you're mad, and you're sad, and you're unhappy. Why be both of those things? Because the unhappiness won't cut your power back on. The anger won't get you your job back. The sadness won't resurrect your dead loved one. It has happened, and that is it. It is over and done with, and all that you can do is choose how it is that you look at it. And looking at something as good won't make your situation any worse. It's not going to make your loved one more dead. It's not going to make you more fired. It's not going to make your electricity more cut off. But what it will do is give you the added bonus of not having to deal with a negative thing and be in a negative state of mind, because nothing positive will ever come from you being in a negative state of mind. Everything stems from your thoughts, your worldview, and your perspective. And when something happens to you and you choose to complain about it, all that you are doing is affirming negativity. And the universe sees that you like negativity, and it will send much more negativity your way. This is how people wind up in a downward spiral, because something happens and they're like, oh, this is bad. And then they start whining about it and bitching about it and feeling sorry for themselves. And then they go do something else that's bad because they're already in a bad mood, bad position, whatever the fucking case may be. And it's just negative thing on top of negative thing on top of negative thing, and that thing compounds, and people wind up way more fucked up than they needed to be because something happened. People will get into a car accident, and that will destroy their whole entire lives. Not because that's what blanketly had to happen, but because that's what they made happen, which they set in motion with this negative ass perspective that they took on this car accident, and all of the complaining and all of the whining and all of the moaning. Viewing something negatively will always make it worse. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you stub your toe. It doesn't matter if you break your arm. It doesn't matter if you go bankrupt. Viewing that as a bad thing once it has taken place will only ever make the thing worse. Because once again, when you are in a negative state of mind, you are never going to do anything positive. You will never have a positive and productive thought when you are thinking negatively and complaining. All you're going to do is make it worse. But when bad shit happens, when shit that you would prefer not happens, and you welcome it and you say, good, I am going to get stronger from this. I am going to make the most of it, and I will grow because of it, and I am very happy that this happened. Good things come from that, because you could turn that seemingly negative into a positive with your perspective and how it is that you choose to move forward. And the only way that you could do that is to change how it is that you look at individual things. I often say this about nothing is bad or only good things take place, and people will say, well, that's you suppressing your emotions. No, it is not. Those people are stupid. It's not suppressing your emotions, it's changing your perspective on a thing. Because if something happens and you don't believe it to be bad, you have nothing to be sad about. If you believe that it's good, you can smile at the things that would normally make people cry. And this is because at the end of the day, nothing is blanketly good or bad. It only has the value that you assign to it. Some people love the rain, so when they see it raining outside, they are happy that it rains. I personally like when it rains, and whenever it's raining, I'm like, sweet, a fucking rainy day, because I love the fucking rain. Some people hate the rain and they are mad when there is water falling from the sky and it's cloudy and the sun isn't out and whatever the fuck else it comes with it that they don't care for. Because the thing in and of itself is neither good nor bad, it just is, until people attach a value to it. And most people take these super neutral things and attach some sort of negativity to it. And because of that, they make it much worse than it needs to be. They attach negativity to basically neutral emotions, like sadness. Sadness is not really a good or a bad thing, it's just a thing. But most people believe that sadness is a bad thing. And despite what though, because those are the same people who say stuff like it's okay to be sad, and they might say that, but their actions say that they don't at all believe that, because those are the same people who run to the therapist to try and figure out the root cause of their sadness in order to figure out ways to cope with it and make it go away and make sure that they don't feel it again in the future. They have a thought that pops into their head, oh man, on my 12th birthday I really wish that I had gotten a new bike, but my parents didn't buy that for me and it made me feel unloved. And that will send them in down this rabbit hole of all kinds of depressing stupid shit. But then they go to their therapist, try to figure it out. If they really thought that being sad was okay, they wouldn't need a way to cope with that. Because those same people, when they feel happy, they don't need to go to their therapist to unpack that. They don't want to go find the root cause of their happiness. They don't need to find the root cause of their laughter. They just accept it and enjoy it because they truly believe that to be okay. So, my point is that being sad is okay. Sometimes you're going to feel sad. It doesn't have to dictate your whole entire life. And it's going to make your sadness that much worse if you believe that you shouldn't be sad. If you believe that you being sad is a negative, it will just serve to make you sad about the fact that you're sad, which is stupid and unproductive. People have feelings, people have emotions. I talk about stoicism a lot, and people think that it's disregard or not having any feelings. It is not that at all. It is feeling your feelings and not allowing them to dictate your actions and not trying to change things that you cannot change. So sometimes I'm mad. Whoop-de-doo. I don't believe it's bad that I'm mad. I just am. Sometimes I'm sad. I don't believe it's bad that I'm sad. I just am. And because I don't believe that these things are problems, I don't make them into one. I feel sad for a little while and then my sadness passes. I feel angry for a little while and then my anger passes. It's just like the fucking weather. Screaming at the clouds is not going to make the clouds go away. You're going to be, it's going to have, the sky will be cloudy as long as the sky will be cloudy. It will pass on its own. So, you might as well just enjoy it while it's there. You should enjoy the fact, A, that you can feel these things, and B, that you have things to feel these things about. But as far as life goes, people suffer from so much stress because these events pop up and they make them so much worse by adding all of this extra stuff onto it. They take what it is that comes their way and they blow it up into this big, huge thing because to them it's the worst thing in the world. When in reality it's just a thing. And you have the power, you have the ability to call that thing good. You could take that thing, you could label it as of benefit to you and figure out why it will be after. But you will be in a much better position if you do that, if you seek out the positives rather than looking for the negatives. You will be in a much better position if you welcome everything that comes your way rather than trying to fight it off. Because when you are fighting something off, then you are just strengthening that thing. You are strengthening those feelings that you don't want, whether it's your sadness, whether it's your anger, whether it's your lostness, whatever the fuck it is. You strengthen them when you try to pushed them away. But if you embrace them as they came, feel what it is that it feels, and learn the lessons that you need to learn from it, and welcome and appreciate all of that shit, you would be much better off. People go through their whole entire life suffering from their childhood trauma and all of their repressed memories, and then they want to go through this big long ass process of going to therapy and doing their shadow work and going on their healing journey and all that other fruity ass shit, only to wind up at the end, which is basically just them changing the way it is that they view that event to begin with. You can't get rid of it. You can't make it not have happened. You can't erase it from your memory. All that you can do is change how it is that you view it, which means you don't need to view it as bad in the first place. If you look at the fact that your childhood was not what it is that you wanted it to be, maybe you hate that you grew up poor, you didn't have any friends, or you were bullied in school, maybe your parents were abusive, maybe your parents got divorced, whatever the fuck it is. If you just decide right now that that was a good thing, then voila, you're cured of having to do all of this other stupid shit and suffering from trauma. The only thing that you are suffering from is your perspective. Your perspective is the answer, and your perspective is the problem. You get to choose which of the two that it will be, but at the end of the day, your worldview shapes the world in which you reside. Everyone lives on the same planet, on the same plane of existence, but we don't all experience the same reality. Not because people are living in their own dimensions, but because people have very different perspectives. One person sees something and thinks it's terrible, one person sees something and thinks that it's amazing. That's the only difference in the two. The people who spend their whole entire lives unable to go over events, move past events, are the ones who refuse to look at it differently. The people who experience bad things and then go and grow from them and become much stronger, view them as positives. That's the difference there. The difference, if you look at superhero and supervillain origin stories, they're always both very similar. Some sort of tragic event happened. Batman lost his parents. Spider-Man's uncle got killed by a robber that he let go. Mr. Freeze's wife died. I don't really know that many supervillain or supervillain backstories off the top of my head, quite honestly. But I guarantee you, if you look, they're all very similar fucking things. The reason that one person went through that and chose to fight for good, and one went through that and chose to do evil shit, is because how they viewed the event. Their perspective on it is what made them into who it is that they become. And the best perspective that you can ever adopt is that everything is good. It doesn't matter what it is. You can't change the past. You can't undo anything that has happened. And people make the mistake of going through something, learning a lesson from it, then wishing that they could go back in time and undo that thing with the lesson that they learned, not realizing that the only reason that they have the lesson in the first place is because they went through the event. And if they could rewind time to before that event happened, they wouldn't know how to prevent it from happening, because they only know how to prevent it from happening from having gone through the event. It is the grandfather paradox applied to self-victimization and woe is me shit. You need these things in your life in order to be able to learn and grow as a person, which means they are all to your benefit regardless of how it is that they may seem in the moment. But how they seem in the moment is entirely up to you. You get to call things whatever it is that you would like to call things. You don't have to whine about shit. You don't have to bitch about shit. You don't have to complain about shit. You don't have to lament shit. You are free to welcome every single bit of it. You are free to love every single bit of every single thing that happens to you. This is why all of my days are good. Not because things go in a way that every single person looking in from the outside would be like, oh, this is all a bunch of amazing shit. A lot of people would classify a lot of the things that happen as unpleasant, but I do not, because I know that regardless of how it is that I classify them, they will have happened. They will have taken place. So every time something happens, I applaud and I am thankful for it. I am grateful for it and I appreciate it. And gratitude is missing from so many people's lives, which is why they don't have a life that they can be thankful for, because they don't appreciate the shit that they have. If you can't appreciate the bad times, you don't deserve the good times. And the only way that you will be able to appreciate the bad times is if you stop calling them bad times. They are just differently good. I exist on a scale of different levels of happy. If my day's going what most people would consider bad, I'm just a lower level of happy. If it's going what I would consider great, I'm a higher level of happy because I don't view anything as bad or negative. It just is, or it's of benefit to me. And that is the perspective that will change your life because that will stop you from getting stuck in all of these stupid situations. That will stop you from coming to a place where you feel like you need to get drunk or get high in order to cope with things because you'll have nothing to cope with because whatever will have taken place is good. It will have been amazing because you have labeled it as such, because you are refusing to be a victim, because you are refusing to be a whiny little bitch who complains about shit that they cannot change. You are refusing to be that annoying ass friend who just wants to vent about shit to get stuff off of their chests because it makes them feel better without having actually done anything to improve their situation. Whatever situation that you are in at the moment, it is a good thing because either you've worked yourself up to a lovely high position or you are in a low position and you get to climb up and create yourself a story. Both things are good. Nothing is bad if you don't decide that it is.